Hello and welcome to the Calmcast, a time to feel calm and think clearly. I'm Claire Downham, the Queen of Calm, a transformational life coach. I was a burnt out head teacher who finally made the journey to calm after years of trying, and I want to prevent you from having to do the same. The Calmcast is a series of short explorations, gently guiding you back to your natural state, which is calm and clarity. Just listen like you would listen to music, with an open mind and curiosity. There's nothing else to do. Now let's relax into today's episode. So this episode has come about in the weirdest way. I really didn't know what I was going to talk about on this episode, and then a number of things sort of collided and came into my awareness that brought about the idea to share this today. And the first thing is that what I'm noticing at the moment is that a lot of people are full of cold or flu or perhaps coronavirus, although I'm not sure how many people know whether or not they've got coronavirus anymore because there's not so much testing going on. But there's a lot of poorliness about. And you hear things like, oh, it's just the time of year, there's a lot of stuff going around. It's normal to have a cold, have a cold every winter kind of thing. And it really made me think, and then the other thing that happened this morning, that I was listening to a podcast and burnout was mentioned quite a lot in this particular podcast I was listening to. And it made me remember, I think, that the stories that I would tell myself about the colds that I was getting a lot of in the run up to burnout. As I was burning out, I actually started a new job. Not sure where in the timeline of my burnout I actually took on this massive promotion that I took on, but it was somewhere during the burnout journey. I'm not sure if it was perhaps the straw that broke the camel's back, maybe. And anyway, I started, and it's really, what's really funny right now as I'm making this recording is I really want to sneeze. It's because I'm talking about colds. Aren't our bodies funny like that? So I had so many coughs and colds and flus, and my story was, it's normal. I'm in a primary school. It's full of snotty, sicky children with head lice as well. We always talk about head lice in the staff room in a primary school. There's a lot of germs about. Children aren't very good when they're little at putting their snot somewhere suitable. They put it on door handles and goodness knows where. So it's everywhere, So, but maybe not so much now, because probably staff have become even more kind of fastidious about that since coronavirus. But anyway, I had a story about that I believed, but it was a story. And the story was, I'm in a germ-filled primary school. It's a new primary school. And we always have this story in teaching that when you get a new class or you start a new job in a new school, you are more likely to get poorly because you're not used to the germs. You've not built up your immunity to that particular school's germs. I suspect that is a story we tell ourselves. I suspect it's more likely that when somebody starts a new school, they're in a period of stress and intense work, and therefore their immune system's a bit shot for a period of time. So, and I think we do, when we get run down, when we are stressed, we get more coughs and colds. No two ways about it. But I think where it went for me was, it was every other week. I'd just about get over one cold and it seemed like the next one would appear. But what I would say to you about that is that I don't think I was getting necessarily new germs all the time. It's just my body just could not fight off. So I might rest a bit and my body would go, oh, and the cold would subside, and then I'd be back full fire again and working ridiculous hours and doing too much. Mostly doing too much thinking. As you know, if you've heard me talk about burnout before, It's very easy to assign it to an issue that's coming from the outside world, but it isn't really. And maybe I've got time to explore that a bit in this session. So I just kept getting ill, but I just kept dismissing it. I had a story that it was okay, that I was ill all the time because I worked in a primary school and that was normal. But it got to the point where it was really quite silly. It was, as I say, every other week. Now, I was not ever very present during that period, but I think if I had been, I might have heard the screams coming from my body, saying, "All is not well with your body, Claire. It's not working quite right. You need to listen to your body." But I didn't, because there was so much noise in my head. It was so full. There was so much overthinking. There was so much overwhelm, so much stress that I didn't hear what my body was saying to me, and I just kept plowing forward. And I suspect that if you're listening to this, you too have had these periods, even if you're not in one now, where you just keep pushing forward. Like, I'm a strong woman. You'll probably see yourself as a strong man or woman who's overcome a lot of things, and that's great. I don't discount your resilience. I don't discount your strength, your creativity, your ability to do things. But when your body, is saying, hey, it's too much, and your body is starting to falter, your immune system is starting to falter, then maybe it's time to take stock. Maybe it's time to take a step back. Maybe it's time to talk to someone like me. Because where it went with me eventually was, and it was a slope from it was quite a fast slope from there. That was the first term when I was getting all the coughs and colds. The second term in that job, so from the January onwards, I mean, I barely staggered through Christmas. It was pretty awful. And in the January, I faltered more in my sleep. My sleep just went completely to pot, and I wasn't really sleeping at all. Very much, 3 to 5 hours a night, every night. Even at the weekends, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't even sleep during the day. I didn't even fall asleep watching television. I was so wired that my body just would not stop. It was like my body thought there was permanently a saber-toothed tiger chasing my backside, like all the time. Behind me, at my heels, there was a saber-toothed tiger after me, and I just had to keep running. That's what my body was doing, really, in that stress response for such a long period of time. And of course, we're supposed to get away from the saber-toothed tiger or die running away from it. We're not supposed to keep having to run, or we're supposed to turn around and kill the saber-toothed tiger. We're not supposed to be continually in a state of stress like that. So in the end, it ended up with me not being able to work for a year. And much as I am actually grateful in a way that happened, because I get to do things like this now and help people in the way I help people, it still was a huge transition in my life. It was a huge change. I lost a 20-year career that I'd worked very hard for, maybe a little bit too hard, as I think we're pointing out here. So don't ignore your body. What I love about the body these days is that it is present always. So, like right now, I'm noticing that I've just got my slippers on. I'm standing at my desk and I've just got my slippers on. I'm just noticing I can feel the floor a bit. Soles my feet feel a bit sore. So probably after this session of recording, I'm going to go and put some different shoes on, or maybe I'm going to sit down for a bit. I'm noticing that my lower back's a little bit sore. So when I do sit, I'm going to be careful to just look after that and make sure I prop it up right. When I notice I'm getting a headache, I know it's time to come off my computer. Your body is sending you signals all the time. And if you're getting to the stage where your body's not functioning very well, that is a sign that perhaps you've been stressed for too long. Like, we're supposed to have little periods of stress. It's supposed to be this short, sharp, get yourself out of danger. But it's a fallacy that we need to be in that state at all. I can honestly say now that I never feel stressed for more than a few minutes. That is the honest truth. No matter what happens, and stuff happens in my life. There is stuff happening in my life all the time. But it's very transient. There's it comes and goes really quickly is what I'm trying to say. So I'm nearing the end of this, really, and it's been a different kind of broadcast, but it's still pointing in the same direction. Your thinking will be telling you that you need to keep going. You're tough, you're strong, you can do this, blah, all that yardy-yar flipping hustle talk that none of us need if we're going to be in touch with our natural selves. That voice will be in your head. You're a failure if you don't keep going. There's all that negative stuff as well, isn't there? You've got to do this. People are depending on you. You've got to keep going. You've got to do whatever. And that is drowning out the sound of your body, which is saying, hey, you need to just stop. You need to just take stock. And the other thing I will say on the end of this in terms of burnout is that there's not a better feeling at the end of everything you're doing. Everything that your head says you should be doing. There is not a better feeling available at the end of that. And I know you've seen that because you've been to different levels and you've discovered at the level you've got to in your career or whatever. And you thought that was going to be it. And then you kind of go, oh, actually, I don't really feel any better now I'm here. I have to go to the next level, see if it's there, the lovely feeling. It's not there. It's available now, right now, inside you. If you just take a breath and sit with it. There's always a nice feeling available to you because that's what you're made of. A lot of noise up there in the upstairs department, drowning it out, but it's always available. So please don't wait until you end up really poorly sick like I was. It's just not worth it. So, you know where I am. Wherever you are, watching this, listening to it, whatever, I am really easy to find. Don't, not in a stalky way. I am really easy to find on the internet. So please do reach out if you like to connect and we can talk. Take care. Lots of love. Thank you so much for listening. There's nothing to do now but bring some awareness to how this is working out in your life. Listen regularly to experience longer and longer periods of calm. This has been the Calmcast with Claire Downham, Queen of Calm. Take care and keep listening.